All right. It's 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on this Saturday. I'm doing this on Saturday because I normally do this on Sundays, but I have a conflict for tomorrow. So that's what we're doing today. So, yeah. So this is I am on this Saturday. What day is it today? The 14th? No, 15th. Excuse me. August 15th, 2026. My name is Wes. I am the creator, co host, and social media manager of the Star Trek podcast called Twin Cities Trekkies, a Star Trek podcast talking about everything from the original Star Trek all the way to Star Trek Starfleet Academy and everything in between. And this is live episode number 20, talking about the latest episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, season 4, episode 4, A Case of Chiaroscuro. But before we get into the discussion about the episode and other things on my mind, we can let you guys know how to get in touch with us. You can email us at tctrekkiespodcast@gmail.com. Feel free to send us an email with anything you'd like to say. If this episode of Strange New Worlds was one of your favorite episodes, it was kind of not one of mine, but it is better than last week. You can definitely let us know, and I'll gladly read your email on the air. If you want to leave a comment on social media, you can definitely do that. The handle for Facebook is TC Trekkies Pod. Instagram is Twin Cities Trekkies Pod, all one word. You can find us on Blue Sky when you search out TC Trekkies, or you can search us out on TikTok by going to TC Twin Cities Trekkie. If you want to leave us a comment on Spotify, when the episode's live stream audio will be dropping, which will be Tuesday evening, you can definitely do that. And I'll read your comment on there too. Just keep in mind that any emails or comments could be read on a future episode of Twin Cities Trekkies. So, what's been going on in the past week? I know, like I said at the top of the show, I normally do these live streams on Sundays at the same time, 1 p.m. Central. However, I am I have a conflict, prior commitment to go to the Minnesota Children's Museum in St. Paul tomorrow afternoon at the same time. So we are just trying to. So I'm going to be going with a friend of mine and a friend of mine who is kind of like a custodian of a 4-year-old kid, and so technically the three of we're going to go there. So that's why this live stream's on Saturday rather than it's on Sunday. I do want to let you guys know what's going on for the podcast. Finally, after oh my gosh, that was a nightmare to get all the episodes redone and rebroadcasted, re-uploaded. I will attempt to get them all back into their normal spots on Spotify, but just to let you know that episodes 120, 119, 120, 121, 124, and 125 are back in your Spotify feed. Just to let you know what's going on with regarding that. I may change the titles from re-upload at the end of it because I put re-upload at the end of it. However, the third-party streamers like Pocket Cast may have both. Just to let you know what's going on. I might just keep them like that. The title is the same way, but I'm gonna try. I found out how you can put them back in order, so it'll probably be back in order in the Spotify feed sooner rather than later. I'll figure that out probably after this live stream and stuff like that. So I'll probably work on that this evening and stuff like that. I do want to let you guys know that I will be back on the Undiscovered podcast at the end of next week. Talking about they're doing a rewatch podcast of season 3 of Enterprise, and Greg Varab, my good podcasting friends, reached out to me, and based upon what we talked about, the comments between the two of us about the Griffin incident, which was episode 2 of Strange New Worlds, being in similar vein to one another. He and I are going to be talking about with with his friend Kyle, talking about season 3, episode 5 of Enterprise, Impulse. So I don't think I'm gonna say this right now. I don't think the Griffin incident and Impulse shared. I mean, yes, they're both share the same kind of horror. Whereas Impulse is more zombie and survival zombie kind of thing. The Griffin incident is more of just flat out horror. Just in the vein of episodes like Night Terrors from the Next Generation or and stuff like that. I don't see I don't see that connection. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. So I see 2 people. Hi. Uh, um, So I don't see that actually being in the same vein of Impulse and the Griffin incident. I do see more incidences with Night Terrors than I do for the Griffin incident. So yeah, so I see 2 people online on the chat. So if you are there, you can type your comments into the chat, and I would love to say hi. Um, so, but other things, and then a few weeks after that, I'll be back on that podcast too, talking about my favorite episode from season 3, which is Twilight, the Bad Dream episode. So that's a great episode. I wanted to reach out to Greg about that, talking about either um, that episode of Enterprise of Twilight or Similitude, um, because both those episodes are fantastic. But definitely, I'm gonna be on Impulse and then Twilight because I really wanted to talk about the Bad Dream because it had more in tune with that episode has more in tune with yesterday's Enterprise. So, hello, Anita. You finally found me. Um, hello. Yeah, I know you and I follow each other on Instagram. So yeah. Oh, I see 3 people. This is great. This is great. I love it. I'm glad you're able to find me and stuff like that. So yeah. So I'm doing well. I'm doing well. She asked how am I doing. I'm doing very well actually. Um, yeah. I might just do it on Saturday afternoons now. I don't know. I'm getting a lot more people than I actually have in the last few. I didn't have anybody during my live streams for Starfleet Academy or last week for that matter. But that's okay. I can live with it. Yeah, I'm doing well. Yeah, it's been crazy the last few months and stuff like that. I had another minor accident. I posted it on Instagram and stuff like that, and I had a minor accident. I'm okay. I just have to get um, I'm going to be personal with you folks. I had my 2 front teeth pushed all far back. I almost lost them and stuff like that. Holy crap. I see 4 in the chat. I see 4. Oh, I'm happy. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. Oh, man. So I'm going to have root canals done at the end of the month. Oh, that's going to be fun. Root canals are not fun. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I'll be on the Undiscovered podcast shortly. Recording it on Tuesday evening, and I think they're going to try to put it up by Thursday or Friday of that week. So you'll be able to hear me on Impulse, talking about Impulse, and I'm going to talk to him and see if I can get the episodes I'm going to be a part of this time around to be on the feed for this podcast. As episodes of the 60 years of the Final Frontier celebration, because I'm going to be gearing that thing up soon with more episodes about that. I mean, granted, the 60 years of Star Trek, the 25th anniversary of Enterprise. So I kind of wanted to see if I can use them as episodes for this podcast for the 60 years of the Final Frontier celebration as part of the 25th anniversary of Enterprise. What else is going on? Not much else is going on. I know I saw a lot of posts from friends of this podcast at STLV. Um, I know that I'm super jealous of everybody who went. I'm super jealous, and I kind of want to try to get out there within the next few years, at least the next year or two. I gotta get out there one year. I gotta get out there. I really do, because I really, really do enjoy seeing all those posts and whatnot, and I really want to meet these people in person. So, and don't get me wrong, I mean I saw posts from like Linda Pages from the Transport Room. She was on the podcast in January. Same with Katie Nicolau, meteorologist Katie Nicolau from Michigan, and I would love to. And then I had Jesse on the show last year, Jesse from Crusher Combo. When I was on the show, her show last earlier this year, as she was a part of starting Discovery, starting to watch Star Trek Discovery, and I was rewatching it. Unfortunately, I've stopped rewatching it, but it's because I've been so busy. Um, my work life and my own personal life and stuff like that take precedence, obviously, and it's what it is. Oh, am I getting any more things? Um, I just checking I didn't have my phone handy, but I get the notifications on my Google Watch. So I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. But yeah, I think that's pretty much what the updates are for the podcast moving forward. Yeah, episode do have a brand new episode too. In addition to the re-uploads to Spotify, episode 126 after a week delay because of all the hoops I've had to go through for the copyrights. I fixed them all. So it's funny that some of these things, like I think it was one of the episodes too. Some of the episodes that I've done in the past, I've used. I mean, the ones I used for the Star Trek ones. They had the background music for the trailers. Had used previous films soundtracks, like because immediately after I uploaded 119 again, I got flagged again. It got flagged again, and I got rid of it, and I had to re-upload it without it because of that trailer was using music from Star Trek 3. So yeah, so hopefully they'll all stay in place this time because I made sure, because the trailers that were in the extravaganza this time were ones for Galaxy Quest and Spaceballs, and it was just generic music and stuff like that. It wasn't using any copyrighted music or anything of the sort. So I just decided not to use the trailers for the Star Trek ones. So what's funny is that I'm not trying to bash Spotify, but I had 5 episodes in 2024 that didn't have this issue. So maybe it was just grandfathered in, or I credited them. Who knows? I don't know what happened, but that's okay. I'm not going to complain about those episodes. You can go listen to them. They're in the I think it's 52 to 50, 56, 57. So 53 to 58. So I just remembered because because I did the extravaganza in the summer of 24. So anywho, let's talk about the latest episode of Strange New Worlds, a case of Chiaroscuro. I think I pronounced that right. I hope I did. Well, this was their take on film noirs from the 1940s. And I've seen some of the film noirs of the 1940s in my life. I have seen them. They were mostly from, it's crazy. Some of them were from Paramount, but most of them, I was just thinking about, they took liberties from, I would say, great films like Vertigo, Alfred Hitchcock, um, stuff like that. They just ran with it. I mean, yeah. I mean, I watched the Captain's Quadrant show last night, and I commented most. I mean, I had the most comments on that live stream. Everyone else was just like watching them because obviously they had a guest on the show, um, a background actor who's been a part of the franchise since season 2 of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. He had been on the show in the past, so that's what happened this time around, and I weighed in and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not gonna plaster what they said about the show, what the episode being boring as you know, boring as hell. But yeah, it was rather boring. Yeah, if you have seen those film noirs from the 1940s, the story goes really slow and stuff like that, and the films are generally under an hour and a half, but they do take a long time to get from point A to point B. They took some liberties with the Casablanca film from 1940. Unfortunately, there was no Humphrey Bogart character. Um, you know, I think that's what the main inspiration behind this episode was. Not only because it was film noirs, but also Casablanca, and there was no Humphrey Bogart character, character. I mean, it is a fascinating story. I will give you that. It was a very fascinating story to watch. You know, I know last week I was not happy with the episode. I was echoing what my friend, what my, I follow, I mean, he's my friend on Facebook, but then also he does the stuff for the Captain's Quadrant. His name is Jace, VHS Jace. He said the episode sucked. Him and best friend sucked. And I am saying this. That episode, I didn't like it at all. I really didn't like it, and I really didn't like it because that kind of humor wasn't cooking for me. Um, and I was very optimistic about the next episode, which was this one, because it's got to be better, and it was. It was better. It was better, slightly better, but it wasn't like, oh, this was terrible. No, that honor goes to the last episode, Human Best Friend, this season at least. Um, and I know that next week, once we talk about the next episode, Level 5 Transporter Accident, um, people are either going to love it or hate it because of the subject matter. Do you think they need better writers? Oh, that's a good question. Um, yes. They needed better writers. I think people tend to view Strange New Worlds a little differently now than when the series premiered 4 years ago. Because yeah, I think so. Kind of, I'm going back and forth between two sentences. Um, so I think yes, I think the show needed better writers. At least someone who understood the canon of the franchise. At least someone tried to understand it. I mean, yes, there was nothing that was about Pike's adventures, sans for a few novels, and the original pilot and stuff like that, and stuff like that prior to his reappearance in season 2 of Star Trek Discovery of Anson Mount playing Christopher Pike and his crew of the Enterprise time. I mean, there's nothing that says that there was nothing. I mean, there was a few novels here and there um, during that time period, comics and stuff like that. But there was no one who didn't really. I don't think there's anybody who on the staff right now who truly understood the franchise. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying that as more of like because Starfleet Academy's writers, they had a person in the room. From what I was told from what I read from interviews with Tawny Newsome, who was one of the producers, and also starred in the series, guest starred in the series, um, and was one of the writers on Starfleet Academy. And she said there was someone in the room with them who had more of a knowledge of the Star Trek canon and stuff like that. Whereas this Strange New Worlds, their writing staff is has been hit or miss regarding their episodes, and I've been saying that I think I said this yesterday on Captain's Quadrant in the chat. I said it may have started when season when the was it the crossover with Lower Decks happened. Those old scientists episode. Don't get me wrong, that episode's fantastic. The episode's fantastic. The Lower Decks crossover is fantastic. It's actually one of my favorite episodes from Strange New Worlds. One of my favorite episodes from this era of Star Trek. Same with Magic Makes Sanus Man Go Mad from Discovery, and other ones too. But and then if you want to consider that's when they dumped the shark, that is perfectly your prerogative. But I know people tend to probably think of Subspace Rhapsody 2 episodes later as the episode that jumped the shark for Strange New Worlds, and it hasn't really fully recovered from it, because season 3 as a whole was downward in terms of its quality. But there were still some good episodes in season 3. As I said in episode 118, there was some good episodes from season 3. I did like the season finale. The season finale, was it New Life and New Civilizations, was a fantastic season finale, and the episode prior to that, Terrarium, was pretty good, and Wedding Bell Blues was pretty good, because that was actually really funny. It was played for laughs, and it actually was legitimately funny. But and then there was a very good dramatic episode, The Sailor Who Ate Its Tail. Was pretty good. It was pretty good in terms of a drama. But then there was a very big clunker in season 3, which was 4.5 Vulcans. I didn't like that very much, except for maybe one aspect of it, and that was the post-credit sequence with Doug and Spock. And I understand that Patton Oswalt will be back sometime this season as Doug. So, don't get me wrong, I liked this character. Don't get me wrong, I loved it. I love this character. I love Patton Oswalt. I think he's a really funny guy. I've watched him since he was Spencer on The King of Queens. So I've loved him since then. And he's a great guy. I mean, he's a great funny guy and all. He's also in Picard too. But to answer your question, I think so. Yep. Thank you, Anita. God caught you live, but I'm here to take me to the store. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Anita, for being a part of this live stream. I appreciate you interacting with me. I still see 2 people here. So if you are there and you're trying to lurk, say hello. Yeah, so definitely, yeah. So definitely the episode's great. The episode was better than the episode. Oh no, I got nobody. That's okay. I really enjoyed having a little interaction this time around. That's okay. I can live with it. If I get one person interacting with me, I can live with it. But circling back around to the episode of Strange New Worlds. This episode was actually pretty good. I mean, the design aesthetic is great. This whole film noir aspect 1940s thing was pretty good. And the story is actually pretty good if this episode was made back then. Um, I mean, there was no explanation for why this society on this planet was flying zeppelins and having a metropolis kind of city. And it just happened that Una was the doppelganger of the resistance leader. It just happened that way. Mm, very odd, but that's okay. I mean, this episode was mainly to like say, hey, we can do an episode in black and white, and we don't have to. But the one thing I was really disappointed in, and I mentioned it yesterday on Captain's Quadrant, was they did not put the title sequence in. Um, put this in the title sequence, and they didn't put the entire title sequence in black and white. I mean, granted, you can do it yourself, man. You will do it yourself and then change it back. But I was just disappointed in that. And thus, I am thinking that this episode was a meh episode. Cora was the actor who played Cora was great. I really enjoyed it very much. I mean, yes, he played it was for dumb. It was dumb, but hey, we got an original series character for the first time in a long time, you know, and it's really fascinating that we got an original series character who encountered people from the Enterprise before that actually happened, and we actually got to see the mind thing realized for the first time too. Even though Star Trek New Voyages did it first, a fan series did it first. So, but that's okay. It's fine. The episode's fantastic. The episode was great. It was. I mean, it was decent, but not great, I should say. But it was still fun to watch. It was fun to watch. I enjoyed it probably more than Human Best Friend, but it was great. I do like and before I address the elephant in the room, yes, I know there were some people out there who were thinking, "Oh, this is exactly the whole black and white thing reminded them of another fan series, Star Trek Continues, who did an episode called "What Ships Are For," and they had a perfectly story reason why it was black and white. And it was they were beamed in the back into color and stuff like that, but it was interesting to see that happen. But yeah, it was decent. But if you enjoy the film noirs in the 1940s, like those films from like those, I think John Ford made a few of those movies, but also Alfred Hitchcock. I think it got some inspiration from Alfred Hitchcock. I'm a big Hitchcock fan. I mean, I've loved his work, and I've seen a few of his movies, and they're fantastic stuff. Go watch the biopic on him, with Anthony Hopkins and Helen Mirren, um, and with Anthony Hopkins as Hitchcock and Helen Mirren as his secretary, and then Scarlett Johansson as Janet Leigh, as they were attempting to make Psycho. Um, it's actually a really fun. It's actually a really fun movie. It's Hitch Woodcock. Um, so, but yeah, if you enjoy those kind of things, the old black and white stuff from the 1940s and stuff like that, film noirs. I mean, I love those kind of movies. I mean, I've watched a few of them in my life, and I enjoyed this episode of Strange New Worlds. So I give a case of Chiaroscuro uh, a, a 7 out of 10. It was a decent episode, but not the greatest episode. And let's just know if in room regarding next week's episode, Level 5 transporter accident. Well, this has been teased to be the Muppet episode. So this was teased last year at San Diego Comic-Con with a little trailer about season 4 with Pike being in the style of the Muppets. Um, but it sounds like it's going to be an entire crew. It could be except for Spock, which is disappointing because I would love to see Spock as a velvet puppet. But I think I know people have been complaining about the gimmicks that the show has been doing since the second season, and some of them have been decent and some of them have not been so great. But I'm thinking this is going to be a home run this next episode, because if you can remember back to the time when you watched the Muppet Show or Fraggle Rock, which Jordan Canning is director of this episode. She directed the Fraggle Rock remake, and she got the directing gig to do this episode of Strange New Worlds that's coming up. She has experience with Jim Henson's Creature Shop with it, so definitely this episode is going to be probably going to be the one that people either say that that's it, I'm done watching, or okay, I think we can be on board for this ride. And I felt the same way regarding. I know people. I felt people were going to rage quit after Subspace Rhapsody too, and I can imagine probably some fans did. And I thought, and circling back around to Subspace Rhapsody, you know, when I watched the episode, I used to have early access to this to the early episodes, to the episodes before they were released to Paramount Plus. And when I watched the episode, I thought I was gonna hate it. I was going like, Star Trek's not a musical. But then I watched it and I loved it. I will watch. I mean, I mentioned it last year when I did the Euro New Trek panel at Convergence. I said that I loved it, and I had songs stuck in my head for the beginning. Songs stuck in my head at the for a solid week after that. All systems stable, but why are we singing? So definitely, I think if there's one thing that Strange New Worlds will be known for after the show has ended, if I can probably agree with everybody here, I think the show took major creative risks. If you can compare it to, let's compare it because we're getting close to football season. So the close to college football and the NFL football and the Canadian football seasons. Let's put it in the perspective of football. Okay, so Strange New Worlds is the quarterback, and they throw passes that say like, "Oh, we're gonna try to do a film noir episode. We're gonna try to do a comedy episode. We're gonna try to do a Muppet episode. We're gonna try to do a musical." And then the ball is sailing towards the receiver, and with some of the episodes, the receiver catches it, and it's a touchdown. But with other ones, it's they throw the pass to the receiver, and then the cornerback or the safety jumps in front of it and picks it off from the quarterback as an interception. So that's what I think Strange New Worlds will be known for after the show is over. I mean, it will be seen as a success because, yes, there was the fans brought it on with the petition to sign Strange New Worlds. And then it was announced during the pandemic, shortly after the death of George Floyd. About a week or two after that, because most of the world was hurting, definitely here. But when it was announced, and then 2 years later, it shows up on our screens. It's a fantastic show and stuff like that. And then they started taking creative risks by doing episodes that not necessarily were in the mold of Star Trek, but our Star Trek episodes in itself, because I know there will be. I did an episode about this for the DS9 celebration with James and Kim from Rebinge It, talking about fortunate episodes of Star Trek, talking about episodes that not necessarily fit the Star Trek mold, but they were fortunate episodes to get. And thus, I think Strange New Worlds, after the show has ended and has been off the air for a while, the show will be known for taking creative risks, and the show is the quarterback, and they try to throw a touchdown pass to the end zone, and it's either a touchdown or it's an interception. Yeah, there may have been times when they have fumbled it too, fumbled the ball, like 4.5 Vulcans. But I think that's what the show is going to be known for. So, and that's personally what I think is going to happen with this series once it's off the air. And that's how I feel about and that's how I felt about that's how I feel about that too. Yeah, I think out of this era of Star Trek, be it as if it continues with a new person in charge, or it's going to be done for a while and come back. In this era of Star Trek, I think the three biggest successes you could probably think of are Discovery, because it drove people to watch Star Trek, but it will probably be seen as the show that brought us Strange New Worlds eventually. For Picard, it will be seen kind of like, Ray says, I think they should do a quarterback sneak play. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking, that some of these episodes this season for Strange New Worlds have been either, if you're a quarterback sneak, hey, trying to be sneaky there. I think the season premiere of Valis Veneris was definitely one of those, because with the trying to figure out where the heck they were, and then realizing they were in the solar system but 65 million years in the past, was a quarterback sneak. Yeah. So there you go. That's why I didn't think about that, but yeah, quarterback sneak. Yeah, I think the season premiere was one of those. This season premiere, Valis Veneris. So, but back to what I was saying about Picard, it will mostly be seen as, Patrick Stewart had a hand in making it, but it maybe, depending on how you feel about it, could be a failure or a success, especially with season 3. For Lower Decks, if you wanted I think you can call that a success because it was a comedy, and Mike McMahon knew the canon and knew the stuff very, very well. And he just recently said he had 2 more seasons worth of material that he wanted to cover, but Paramount ended the show, and now he wants to make a movie. I think they put that in the movie theater, because I think it would be great, or at least have a streaming movie. And I think that would be more of a success than Section 31 was. So for Prodigy, I'm going to consider it probably a case of not marketing it right. And unfortunately, the show was fantastic. However, Paramount didn't know how to market it right. And then Strange New Worlds will be seen as a show that they made great creative risks. And it was either a quarterback sneak for a touchdown or a long pass for a touchdown. And then some of them got fumbled and some of them got intercepted. Look at it as a football game. Or heck, if you are a baseball fan, you can think of the show as a pitcher, and you throw heat. And if it was great, then the episode, then the batter would hit a home run. Something like that. If you can think of, okay, how about that? You mentioned the show being a batter in baseball, and if it was great, the the batter would hit it out of the park every time. It would be a home run or a double or a triple or in the field so they can get a hit. If it was a bad like an episode that like 4.5 Vulcans, which was a bad. Personally, I think it was bad. It could be a wild pitch and someone from the opposing team scored or something like that. It could be a wild pitch or something like that, or it was a ball given to the batter. But or if it was like a really bad episode, kind of like that episode, it would be a strikeout too. So if you're looking at like baseball or football analogies for this series, you can either think like, oh, the quarterback threw a touchdown or threw an interception or a pick six or did a quarterback sneak. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. So this episode was great. This episode was decent. But I know next week's episode is going to be the one that either people are just going to say I hate it or are going to love it. I'm going to be one of those people who are going to love it anyway, because I'm thinking about, when they teased about this at San Diego Comic-Con, I was thinking about, this is going to be Muppets. It's going to be Sesame Street, The Muppet Show, Fraggle Rock. But I know it's not going to be Sesame Street, even though Jim Henson's Creature Shop does make the puppets for Sesame Street, and they've been on for over 50 years. So they've been on for over 60 years. So it's for over 50 years at this point. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens regarding that. So that's the next episode, Level 5 Transporter Accident. I don't know. I liked doing this. I had some interaction today. So to Anita and Ray, thank you so much for interacting. You guys are the first few interactions I've had since this. I think since the last season of Strange New Worlds. I didn't have any for my episodes of Starfleet Academy, but I encourage everybody to go watch the other live streams, except for the one for Griffin Incident, and the Griffin Incident that only lasted 2.5 minutes. But yeah. So this live stream audio will be available on Tuesday evening. I'm going to drop it around 6 p.m. Central. So that's what we're going to do today. So we'll be back on Sunday next week, trying to with the latest episode of Strange New Worlds. So I'm going to try to do it next Sunday. So keep an eye out for all that stuff going forward. Take care and live long and prosper, everybody.